Shouts out to my people. Shouts out to my people sending love, positivity, and good vibes to my people, man. I hope you guys are doing good today. I'm doing great. Today we got a clip of Dr. Umar Johnson. He speaks on black love and relationships. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I love you guys. Let's get it.
Man, when I turn on, my computer and I look on social media or just see the conversations that's being had, it seems like it's truly a great divide between black men and women today.
True.
Especially in the space of love and relationships.
Correct.
It just seems like we don't have a ton of trust among one another. Everybody is very cynical about long-term relationships. And this is, I would call it a major crisis right now in our community.
I would agree with that.
We already know we have an economic crisis in the community. But now we see that this family and this relational crisis that we have that's rising. Which one would you say is greater right now as far as an issue or potential issue for the future of our relationships and our family?
I would say that they're related. If we look at this in its proper context, we go back and we see that the rise of the single black mother-led household doesn't begin until the 70s. Up until then, most of our homes had a mother and a father. So slavery didn't destroy the black family. We stayed married through slavery. I know my ancestors in particular, they kept the family together through slavery. So it wasn't slavery that did it. It was the economic disintegration of the black community. So after they assassinated Dr. King, the U.S. government decided upon a policy to destroy the black man's ability to fund any future civil rights efforts. So they came into the inner cities and they took out all the factory jobs, stripped the black man of his ability to earn. Remember, up until the 70s, they were not pushing go to college in order to be a success. You could live a decent life working in any of the major inner cities as a laborer. So they took that out. Then they went into the high schools and stripped the high schools of the industrial building training programs. So carpentry, auto mechanic, welding, roofing, electric, plumbing, they took all that out. Those was the skills that paid the bills.
That's the reason why it's so important for us to get into different trades, plumbing, electric, because those trades, especially in today's day and age, they're paying. So if we get into carpentry and construction, we can definitely get to the bag. Not everybody, especially in our friend groups and in our family, not everybody's going to go to the NBA. Not everybody's going to make their rap dreams come true. So we need other things to fall back on.
In essence, what they did was they made the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman. I want to say that one more time. The 70s was the beginning of the process of making the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman. A man's primary responsibility is to protect and to provide. We can protect, but the providing is the issue. Now, you fast forward that 65 years until now, since Dr. King's assassination, a lot of our women don't understand the political history that brought about the economic devastation of the black male. If my woman makes more money than me, that in and of itself is not a problem, unless she attributes the reason she makes more money than me to the fact that I'm lazy, I'm shiftless, I'm irresponsible, I'm unaccountable. It's the interpretation of the reality that's our problem. Because if my woman makes more money than me, then so be it. That shouldn't necessarily be an issue unless she feels some types of way about that, or if I feel some type of way about that, because it does go both ways. You have sisters who feel like they can emotionally abuse and emasculate brothers if they have more education and income. On the flip side, you got brothers who cannot accept a relationship where the woman out earns and out educates him. So it can go both ways. But that economic piece is major because we're the only men in America who are out earned by our women. We're the only ones. And it's by design. Now, when you come to YouTube and you see the back and forth banter between the men and the women, a lot of that is due to poor political education and understanding of the reality. But another part of it is trauma. See, we got to understand when we get emotional, we're dealing with our unconscious pains and memories. Nobody's in the present moment when you get emotional. The minute you are overrun by your emotions, that's your trauma talking. And one of the reasons black male-female relationships are so dysfunctional is you got traumatic man, trying to relate to a traumatic woman. Neither one of them is dealing with the person across the table because they're both reacting from past hurt, which is why I believe that when you get out of one relationship before you go into another one, you need a period of healing, because if in fact you were in love, it's going to take you a while to heal your soul back, because love is the process of two becoming one. So if that was really love before you move on, you got to take a break and heal. The problem, gentlemen, is we don't like to take the break and heal. And the reason why Black men and Black women don't like to take the break to heal is when you are in solitude. And this is why spirituality functions on a foundation of solitude.
That's facts. In order to know yourself and who you are and take the steps to love yourself, you really have to sit down in order for the higher source to really speak to you.
When you are alone, your soul forces to the surface issues in your life that you need to address that you don't feel like addressing. So the reason I'm rushing out to get another woman isn't because I'm ready to build another relationship. It's because when I'm home alone, I deal with my abandonment of my mother. I deal with my sexual abuse of my uncle. I deal with the emotional emasculation I suffered from my mother. I'm dealing with the bullying from my siblings. You see that? Yeah. So how do you escape your internal demons? You run out and you date. And so in the Black community, dating and mating has become the newest drug. It's how we escape from taking responsibility for our emotional health.
Wow. Damn. Dating is the new drug.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. Dating absolutely has become a drug. And we talked about that a bit, with us not wanting to deal with our baggage. So you covered a spectrum of issues that we having right now that got us here. You talked about how pretty much the government has played a hand in our circumstance. Our trauma has played a hand in our circumstance.
Absolutely. And
those two together, you know, has created pretty much what we see today.
Correct.
When we're looking at the banter coming, that's happening between men and women.
Yes.
Today, this is the outcome of that. My issue is, do you see us preparing for the resolve? Do we have things in place right now for us to have realistic solution?
I don't think so. And the reason why I don't believe we are there yet, if I look at it from a therapeutic standpoint, in order for me to get to a place of resolve, to a place of solution, I have to be willing to empathically hear the other side out. We don't hear the other side. We talk to each other, but we do not listen. It's yelling. The women are yelling at the brothers. The brothers are yelling at the women. I have yet to hear a serious conversation on YouTube that involved reflective listening. So, sister, based on what you're telling me, you hurt because you have had man after man come into your life, use you for your physical assets, and fail to invest in you as a woman. Am I hearing you?
He's definitely speaking facts. Everything on YouTube becomes a debate, becomes an argument, and what we really need is to hear each other's side. Instead of trying to win the argument, we have to come together and reach a middle ground.
Yes, you're hearing me. How can we do better as men to not disappoint our women? Because see, here's the situation. As we know, the woman is the first teacher of the child. So that scorn, unconsciously, she's not doing it on purpose, but the scorn is being passed down to the daughter. You see that? So the daughter is being raised with this animosity towards Black men before she's even old enough to date or understand what it is. So if we as men want to improve the relationship opportunities for our grandchildren's grandchildren, we have to be much more careful with the hearts of our women, because whatever pain we put in her, she's going to transmit psychosocially to her daughter without even being conscious of it. So we're not just dealing with the failure of Black on Black love right now. We're dealing with the failure of Black on Black love for the rest of the century.
So you talked about earlier the rise of single motherhood in our community. It, if anything, turned our community into a matriarch at that point in time.
True.
Are we still there in 2024?
The matriarchy isn't in and of itself a problem, because not all African societies are patriarchal. You have matriarchal African societies. The issue is when the woman feels that because she's had to bear the brunt of responsibility for raising the children and paying the bills, that the man should have no voice. So matriarchy by itself is not a problem. Patriarchy alone is not a problem. It's only when we take this matriarchy, patriarchy, and marry it to a European narrative that says, because I'm the breadwinner in this home, I don't have to listen to the other person. We devalue the role of the man and we devalue the role of the woman based on European values. Because guess what? How much you earn has nothing to do with what you can contribute to the system and to these children. So all of us have been influenced negatively by the white man's power structure to the point where even in our house, he's still operating at a distance through the way that we think. Take economics. Money and sex, those two variables play too big of a role in our relationships. Sex is important, money is important, but they should not be the be all and end all of whether or not the relationship is going to make sense.
I definitely think that's true. Our culture cares more about sex and money, and I would even say status as well, more than, you know, emotional intelligence, how they're going to treat my kids, you know, really getting to know and understand the person that you're dating. Because the older I get, the more I realize, you know, I'd rather have somebody that I'm compatible with, somebody that has my same sense of humor and my same outlook towards life, rather than just money and sex.
And if money and sex are dominating the relationship is being ran on a superficial structure because money runs out. How you perform in bed, that will dim over time too. So we cannot be coming together for money and sex, because if that's the case, this really isn't a relationship. It's a pleasure contract. And a lot of us in the community have pleasure contracts we call relationships. And the difference between a pleasure contract and a relationship is a relationship requires obligation and accountability. See, when you have a pleasure contract, I sex my queen when I sex her. We go to the movies when we want to go to the movies. We go to the Bahamas when we want to go to the Bahamas. We go to the festival when we want to go to. It's all pleasure based. I see you when you want to see me. You see me when you want to see me. Relationship, I'm accountable to you whether we having fun or not. Relationship, your long-term best interest as a human being is part of my responsibility. A lot of people are calling pleasure contracts and situationships, which is when neither one of you really know what the hell this is. We're calling them relationships and they're not. So number one, we got to be honest about what the particular structure is. Is this situationship? We just trying to figure it out. Is this a pleasure contract? We just having fun in and out of the bed when we feel like it? Or is this a relationship where you're going to be accountable to me even when you are angry and upset and don't want to be bothered? What exactly is this? Because there's a big difference. And unfortunately, because we don't communicate with the women in our lives as men, once they open their legs, they tend to assume that there's some sort of a relationship here. No matter how minuscule, we never clarify that. And the reason we never clarified that is in our selfishness as men, we like to have our cake and eat it too. So we know she's developing a bond, you understand? But we're never going to clarify the bond because I want to be able to dip out the back door the minute she puts too much responsibility on me.
I was with them until this point right here. Now, my own opinion is I think that women in our society have most of the control, especially when it comes to sex. So I think that we built these women to become desensitized in their feelings and wanting to have a relationship. But I don't think that it's so much the man's fault in this era. I think that it was the man's fault before, but I believe this is the cause of women actually having control and the power in the relationship.
Where had if you told her up front, this is just a pleasure contract, an arrangement, she could have probably done a better job of keeping her feelings to herself. But because we don't want to see her with nobody else, we would rather run the risk of hurting her spiritually and emotionally than let her go free to find what she really needs. Selfishness plays a big role in this.
So let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the video. Are you guys in pleasure contracts? Do you guys believe dating is a drug? Let me know. So I love you guys. It's positivity, good vibes. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you like the content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. We out.